A Bible for photographers. That is how Robert Capa described this book. After almost 70 years it was published, this book has still a lot to say to photographers and especially street and documentary photographers. It is said to be an essential book for any photography collection. But is it? I'm gonna give you this brief overview of this legendary book. So, let's check it out. Henri Cartier Bresson is said to be a founder of modern photojournalism. I've actually talked about his life and photography in one of my very first videos. He actually came up with this idea of the decisive moment. I wouldn't say he invented it, but he definitely gave it a name and introduced it to a wider audience. Photography is not like painting. There is a creative fraction of a second when you are taking a picture. Your eye must see a composition or an expression that life itself offers you. And you must know with intuition when to click the camera. That is the moment the photographer is creative. Whoops, the moment. Once you missed it, it's gone forever, said Cartier-Bresson to Washington Post in 1957. The book was published in 1952, originally titled Images à la Sauvette in the French, published in English with a new title, The Decisive Moment. The words were actually taken from a quote by the 17th century Cardinal who said, "There is nothing in this world that does not have a decisive moment." You can find the first edition on eBay for $1,000 and more depending on the condition. It was printed in 10,000 copies, 3,000 of French edition and 7,000 of American edition. The original price was actually $12.50 in North America. This new print of the book has a hardback and extra hard case to house the book itself and a pamphlet, which I will talk about later. The artwork on the case is an artwork by Henri Matisse, and as you guessed it, it is not a photograph, but a signature cutout of Matisse. In the top right, we can see the sun that shines over the blue mountains. In the middle, there is a bird holding a branch. Then there are a few green and black vegetal forms and stone at the bottom. On the back cover, we can see color sparkles of green and blue. The spirals are supposed to evoke the pace of time. What is interesting about this cover is that when you look closely, the name of Cartier-Bresson is missing the hyphen between two names. Maybe Matisse forgot to draw it there and then they just didn't want to tell him to fix his artwork. The pamphlet suggests that the missing hyphen could be deliberate, as if Matisse wanted to express Cartier-Bresson's duality and his shifting temperament. The book is pretty big, even without the case. It is the biggest book I own. It is 37 by 27 centimeters, so the ratio works for photographs of 24 by 36 photographic film Cartier-Bresson used. Each page can fit one horizontal photograph or two vertical ones. The pages are stitched in a way that allow proper flat opening. It has 160 pages with 126 photographs and weighs over 2.5 kilograms. But here comes the important part. Does it fit into an IKEA cabinet? Well, kind of. The pamphlet is very nice behind-the-scene book composed of quotes of Henri Cartier-Bresson and some other information about how the book was made. It tells the story of Cartier-Bresson working on the book, the sequencing, work with the publisher, the story of the cover, and so on. The publisher insisted that the images should be matched with a text in the book. The idea was to provide technical and how-to information, but it was something Cartier-Bresson wasn't fond of too much. The book starts with an introduction by Henri Cartier-Bresson, followed by photographs split into two sections, chronologically and geographically. The first one contains photographs taken in the West from the years 1932 to 1947. The second contains photographs taken in the East from 1947 to 1952. Since the introduction wasn't technical enough, there is also a technical text by Richard Lee Simon at the end of the book, which was only included in the American version. Now, we can also distinguish those two sections as phases of Cartier-Bresson's career. During his career, Cartier-Bresson oscillated between art and photojournalism. It is obvious from his photographs before he joined Magnum and after that. When selecting the photographs, Cartier-Bresson clearly favored his reportage images he made as a member of Magnum Photos, as some of his well-known images like the cyclist from early 30s are missing. As The Decisive Moment was published 5 years after he joined Magnum, he left out a lot of his surrealism-inspired images and used more of his photojournalism work, especially in the second section, which displays only Magnum images. Those photos also have much longer captions, as they were mostly shot for the press. The book is an evidence of Cartier-Bresson's shift from art to photojournalism during that time. He would later switch back when he focused on exhibitions and wanted to be perceived more as an artist than a photojournalist. All photographs are in black and white, as Cartier-Bresson didn't like to shoot colors. It was for few reasons. First, he saw colors as technically inferior due to the slow speed of color film, but also aesthetically limiting. At the time the book was published, it was immediately clear that the book is unique in terms of size, but also in quality. Even though it was accepted very well by critics, the first sales were not so good. That was the reason there was never the second print. The Decisive Moment wasn't actually the only name Cartier-Bresson considered. One of the favorite possible titles was Pas de Loup, which expressed the way in which Cartier-Bresson approached those whom he photographed. The subject must be approached tiptoeing, he said. The second one, Images à la sauvette, roughly translated as Images on the Run, which ended up being the name of the French edition, related to small street vendors ready to flee when being asked for their license. It also expressed this concept of photography. My most favorite picture from the book is this one from Kashmir. Muslim women on the slopes of Hari Parbal Hill in Srinagar prayed toward the sun rising behind the Himalayas. Now, as you can see when you look at Henri Cartier Bresson's photographs, he adapted many styles. When I first saw this photograph, I just thought how biblical and timeless it looks. It could easily be taken 1,000 years ago, if they actually had cameras. So, as you can see, Cartier-Bresson shot some very important events, but also some, let's say, casual photos. So, who is this book for? Maybe you consider buying this for your special someone who is into street photography. Or maybe you are your own special someone who might want this book. In that case, I hope this brief overview helps you to decide whether you want it for yourself or your special someone. When buying this book as a gift for a photographer, just make sure they don't already have it, since the book is one of the essential photography books. I think it is an amazing book, even though it is a bit expensive. But the valuable information it provides and the forms makes you really feel like you are holding a piece of history. After all, there is nothing in this world that does not have a decisive moment. And the masterpiece of good rolling is to know and seize this moment. Thank you for watching.